right, handouts out if you would please. And you did the even numbered problems, 2 through 14. You were given a point, you were given the slope of a line, and you were asked to find the equation of that exact line. Again, infinite number of lines can go through a particular given point. There's an infinite number of lines that could have a particular given slope, but given both a point through which the line passes and the slope of that line, only one line. And what is the equation of that line? Looking at number 2, we were given the point 3, 1, and we were given the slope of -3. And the question was, which line has this slope and goes through this point? How do we start each of these problems? Maddie? Which is, what you said, just by writing what? Well, that slope-intercept formula, slope-intercept form, right? It's a form, it's a layout of an equation, not a formula to find something necessarily, though we will use it to find something here, but the slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. And what we're going to do here is, Genesis, as you know, if I were to give you an equation y equals 7/2 x minus 5, I can graph this equation because I have a y-intercept as a starting point and I have a slope. Well, that means that really the two critical elements to know for an equation are, as I said, the slope and the y-intercept. Well, I already know the slope is -3, so I know my equation is going to start out y equals -3x. I just don't know how it finishes, right? So to figure out how it finishes, what do we do once we've started with the y equals mx plus b, Kendall?
You plug in for the y.
Good, I plug in for the y, the m, and the x. So what do I plug in where?
You plug in 1 for the y.
Because it's a y value, it's an ordinate.
And then you plug in -3 for the m.
Because obviously it's the slope.
And you plug in 3 for the x.
Because it's the abscissa, it is an x value, it goes in for the x, and the plus b is now the only thing I don't know. As we saw, we knew this in our head, we'll multiply class to get, move that -9 over as a positive to get 10, and so we've got our b equals 10. Well, again, I already knew the slope, so I already knew my equation would start y equals -3x. I now know it ends class plus 10. And there's our answer to number 2. How many had that for number 2? Look at the next one. It gives us a slope of 0. What kind of line has a slope of 0, class? Horizontal. There we go. A horizontal line across side to side like this. Yeah, horizontal line is going to have a slope of 0 because remember, it never rises. All it ever does is run. So we can follow the same pattern though. As we are given our 0.57, we're given our slope of 0. We could still start by writing what, Michael?
Hold up. 7. Oh wait. Slope-intercept form. We'll start with that. Y equals mx plus b.
And the reason we'll write this out, again, it just helps to make sure we don't screw this thing up. We can see every letter. We're not going to accidentally write the wrong thing, theoretically. And so for the y, I write
7.
The y value. For the m,
0.
0. Almost seems pointless to write the x, but we'll do it anyway. 5 plus b. But we can already tell what the b is going to equal. It's going to equal 7. So if b is 7, m is 0, what is my equation?
Y equals 0x plus 7.
Or we could just say
Y equals 7.
either one of these would suffice. Y equals 7. Or I don't have a problem with y equals 0x plus 7. How many have one of those two for number 4? All right, on number 6, we have the point 6, -10, a slope of 5/3. And Audrey, walk me through.
You start with your equation. So it would be -10 equals 5/3 minus 6 plus b. And then you can cancel the 6 and 3 to get 10. And then you can move your 10 over as a negative to get -20. And then it would be y equals 5/3 x minus 20.
All right, and she is lazy. I have trained her well. She also likes to live dangerously here, so she went without starting by seeing the y equals mx plus b. Also didn't put it over the 1. Did a lot of stuff in her head. That's okay. She was accurate with all of it. Got the right answer. So again, I don't have a problem with it. I just foresee possible pitfalls, but you did a great job and handled it lazily, which was just beautiful. And how many got the same answer as Audrey? All right. Number 8, we've got the point 44, and we've got a slope of -1/4. That's a 1/4. And Brandon, walk us through.
We'll start with your equation y equals mx plus b. so the y is 4 equals negative 1/4 times 4 plus 1. And then cancel the 4's to get negative 1, and then move over the negative 1 to get positive 5 equals 4. And your equation is y equals negative 1/4 x plus 5.
And there we go. How many had that answer for number 8? All right, number 10, Abby, we had a slope of negative 4. We had a point for negative 5. Walk us through this one.
Okay, so negative 5 equals negative 4 times 4 plus b. And then you multiply the 4's and 4's to get negative 16, and just add it to the other side to get 11 equals b. So the equation is y equals negative 4x plus 11.
And there we go. How many of the same equation here on number 10? Excellent. Number 12, I'm going to come to Genesis here. Genesis, you weren't here yesterday. Not sure if you had an opportunity to watch the video since I know you weren't feeling too great. And but let's see how we do here. We're given a slope of 2/5. We're given the point 10, negative 4 here on number 12. And again, we want to start by just writing out. And then we're going to plug in everything except the b. That's the one thing we don't know, but we do know a y value. We know the m. We know the x. And which I'm going to write it over, and then of course we'll leave the plus b. By putting it over 1, we can see some canceling here with the fractions that are being multiplied to get. So when I end up simplifying all of this right here, it really becomes negative 4 equals plus b. Solve for the b, move the as a, well, it already is positive, so move it over as a negative 4. And that'll give me a b is equal to, all right, so I know m, I know b. As I said before, those are the two things I have to know the equation. What is my equation? Remember, the b is going to go here, the m is going to go right before the x. There we go, and that's going to be our equation. Does that make sense? All right, then for the last one, what did you get for your equation, Maddie? Number 14.
Y equals negative 6 minus 3.
I'm sorry?
Y equals negative 6x minus 3.
That is not what I have here. What did you get, Kendall?
Y equals negative 6x plus 9.
It should be y equals negative 6x positive 9. So let's go and take a look at it real quick. We've got our y equals mx plus b. You plugged in your 3 equals negative 6 times 1 plus b. I think I know what happened. You saw the negative 6, but instead of moving it as a positive 6, you kept it as a negative 6, and that's where the negative 3 came from. Should have got the 9, so y equals negative 6x plus 9. And we go 7 for 7 on the evens. You got them all. All right, was that the only one that you missed, that very last one? Missed a couple of them?
I had a 0 on 12. I did the same thing.
Oh, okay, where you said, oh, the 4 is going to cancel with the negative 4, so to bring it as a negative to get negative 8. Okay, so a couple of those. Just got to remember, change the sign when it changes sides. Were those the only two then? All right. Genesis, got to see it. Do you feel like you understand it? All right, we're going to get a chance to all to practice it, especially beneficial for Genesis since she missed it yesterday, but all of you will get the chance to practice. Do the odd numbered problems on the handout. Do 1 through 13, the odd on the handout. And get as many done as you can. You may not finish them all before I call time, but get as many done as you can. Work carefully, work accurately. And then we will move on. Doing all the odds on the handout that we used for homework. several people finishing up. Take just a little longer to try to finish up maybe one more before I call time. For sake of time, let's go ahead and take a look at these together. And number one, what'd you get for your answer, Kendall?
Y equals 4x minus 4.
Good. Number three, what did you get for your answer, Maddie?
Y equals 1/3 x plus 0.
Good. Or we could just say,
Y equals 1/3 x.
good, either y equals 1/3 x or y equals 1/3 x plus 0. And I don't remember if I reiterated number one for the camera. Y equals 4x negative 4 should have been the answer. Number five, as some people noted, it's the same exact problem as number 10. How many realized that? How many wish you'd realized that? Would have made it a lot quicker to get. It should have been y equals negative 4x plus 11. Let's go to number 7. What did you get for that one, Genesis? Good. Y equals 4/3 x minus 10. How about number 9, Michael?
Y equals negative 7x plus 5.
Excellent. Number 11, what did you get, Audrey?
Y equals 3/4 x plus 0.
Good. Y equals 3/4 x plus 0 or
3/4 x.
y equals 3/4 x. We could leave off the plus 0, not a problem there. And then number 13, Brandon?
Y equals negative 6.
Good. Either y equals 0x, negative 6, or just y equals negative 6. How many got all the ones you did correct? Maybe I didn't finish all of them, but the ones you did, you got them all right? Are there any questions on any of those we need to see worked? Any question? All right. If you did not write on the handout and it's still in good shape, let me go and collect that back from you if I could, please, since I'm lazy and don't want to have to reprint these next year. My laziness knows few limits. All right. If you just really, really want one, you actually get it off YouTube. Anyway, next section in your notes. I referenced this yesterday, but I said around our last lesson, I said, through a single point, you can draw an infinite number of lines, which is why, given a point, we had to also know the slope in order to find the equation. But if you have 2 points, class, you can draw how many lines? One and only one. Remember, 2 points determine a straight line, we could say, for some of you, bringing back fond memories, right, Genesis? Her nod doesn't seem very sincere. Anyway, but the point is, if you have 2 points, there's only one line that can be drawn between them, so we should be able to find the equation of that line given 2 points, and that's the next section of notes. Finding the equation of a line given 2 points. Finding the equation of a line given 2 points. Obviously, if I gave you 2 points, drawing the line would be super easy. Plot the points, draw the line, no problem, right? But finding the equation of the line, that's what we're trying to focus on here. Well, step number 1, if you have 2 points, not that long ago, a few lessons ago, we first talked about how to find the slope. And that's going to be our first step, is to find the slope using the slope formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So step number 1 is to find the slope. After all, for homework last night and just now, as long as you had the slope and a point, you are all good with finding the equation, it seems. Well, if we're given 2 points and we have the slope, do you see how you could just take the slope and one of the 2 points and you basically do what we did yesterday? The same song, second verse. You just have to find your own slope. It's like bricks without straw. You got to get your own straw now, but you're still going to build the equation. You're just going to have to find your own slope first. I guess that makes me like Pharaoh. Anyway, I'm just looking at me funny. All right, so step number 2 is to use the slope and either given point to find the y-intercept, b. Use the slope and either given point to find the y-intercept. And then, of course, write the equation. So we're really just building on what we did yesterday and adding one more step to the beginning. You got to find your own slope. So write these 2 points down. If I were to have the point 1, 2 and the point 4, negative 1. Well, step 1, class, find the slope. So my m is equal to, remember, what letter goes in the top, class? The y's go in the top. So how could I write my numerator here? Abby?
As 2 minus negative 1.
All right, and so therefore, how must I write the denominator?
1 minus 4.
Remember, you pick, as long as you put the y values in the top, you pick which order you subtract them. Once you've picked your top, you have to go with whatever order you already picked for the bottom. And of course, anytime we see minus and negative, class, it becomes a plus or a positive. So my numerator, class,
3.
the denominator, and that basically just gives me a nice easy slope of negative 1. Now at this point, I'm going to use that slope and one of my 2 points to do what we were already doing. The nice thing is, if one of the points is ugly, you ain't got to use it. So Abby, which point would you like to use? 1, 2 or 4, negative 1?
1, 2.
Yes. All right, good. Lazy, I like it. Pick the easy point. You got your x, you got your y. We're going to go back to y equals mx plus b, and we're going to plug in our numbers.
Yeah, 2 equals negative 1 times 1 plus b.
There we go. We're going to be very careful with our math. Here we're going to multiply, Abby, to get?
Negative 1.
And we're not going to forget that negative 1, when it moves over, becomes a
Positive.
So my b is
3.
3. So I've got my m, I've got my b. I wasn't given either of those this time, but I found both of them. And so what is my equation going to be, Genesis?
Y equals negative 1x plus 3.
Perfect. So seem to make pretty good sense here as far as the process. Again, you just have to find your own slope first, but then from there it's exactly like what we've done before. Write these points down if you would, please. 4, 3, negative 2, 2. Now, we have a formula we could use to find distance. We don't need to find distance. We have a formula we could use to find midpoint. We don't need to find the midpoint. We have a formula we use to find the slope. That I need in order to find now the equation. So there's 4 things we're going to be able to do with any 2 points. But it starts by finding the slope. And go ahead and tell me how to set up the slope here. Let's go to Michael.
M equals 3 minus 2 over 4 plus 2.
Good, and I like you went straight to 4 plus 2, 4 minus the negative 2 to get a slope of
1, 6.
1, 6. All right, once we got the slope, then we're going to take that slope and we're going to pick one of our points, whichever one Michael likes better.
4, 3.
All right, he does not care for negatives. I'm kind of with him there. All right, and Michael?
3 equals 4. Oh wait, hold up. 1, 6 times 4 plus b.
There we go. And again, if you take the time to write y equals mx plus b, again, it keeps you from blanking out for that moment that we recover very quickly here. And of course, we could put the 4 over 1.
Am I still doing this?
Yep, yep.
Okay, change it 6 to 3, 4, 6, just do 4, 6, which factors into 2/3.
Okay, so we've got basically 3 equals now. That kind of reduces down to a 2/3 plus b. Then we've got to move the 2/3 over.
2 1/3.
Yeah, we have to subtract the 2/3 from the 3 to get 2 1/3. Now, I will say for graphing's sake, that's really nice. We don't normally do mixed numbers here. So here's a suggestion. So far, every problem we've worked, the slope and the x value have canceled really nicely. For the first time, not so much, right? So what you may want to do when you get this fraction is think like you always have when you've seen fractions in equations. hate them, and multiply everything by the LCD to get rid of the fraction. So maybe instead of, not that it's hard subtraction, you're right, 3 minus 2/3, 2 1/3, that's not bad, but maybe we multiply everything by a 3 here to get, Michael,
9,
equals
2,
plus,
3b,
and then of course subtracting the 2 is much easier,
7,
but we have to then divide away the 3, and we end up with, obviously as we knew, a fraction, and our b here now is
7/3.
7/3. Again, that's the same thing as 2 1/3. I'm fine with either method. Hey, if you're really good with basic fractions, 3 minus 2/3, you have 3 pizzas, your little sister comes along and eats 2/3 of one of your pizzas, and how many pizzas do you have left? 2 1/3. If you can do that, that's fine. I actually don't mind the mixed number because, again, if you were graphing it, 2 1/3 is a lot easier to find on your y-axis than 7/3. But if you're like, ooh, I just hate messing with fractions, clear them out, do it the old-fashioned way, not a problem. So what's the equation here, Michael?
Y equals 1/6 x plus 7/3.
There we go. Not particularly pretty, again, having that fractional y-intercept, but do we understand how to deal with it? Questions on that? All right, let's take a look at a couple more. Write these 2 points down, if you would. -2, 4 and 1, 5. -2, 4 and 1, 5. And let's go to Kendall as we finish up our back row people here. And Kendall, what do we do first?
You find the slope. And so you do 4 minus y. And then -2 minus 1 at 5. And then you get -1 on the top. And then -3 on the bottom.
So really,
1/3.
1/3, because the 2 negatives would cancel. Once we got the slope, which is my first step in getting the equation, then we'll go to,
Getting the points.
okay,
So we can do y equals x plus b.
and of course we already know what the m is going to be, but which xy do you want to go with?
1, 5.
All right, let's go with the 1, 5. So we write down
5 equals 1/3 times 1 over 1, and then plus b. We can't cancel.
no, it's just a third times 1, so it's really just becomes 5 equals a third plus b.
You can multiply everything by 3.
Okay, we could do it that way, absolutely. We could multiply everything by a 3, and that changes my equation to say what?
15 equals 1 plus 30.
Good, just don't forget the letter also gets multiplied by the 3, good, and then we,
You can subtract the 1, get 14. And then divide away the 3.
and so our b is
14/3.
14/3. So there's my m, there's my b. What's my equation, Kendall?
Y equals 1/3 x plus 14/3.
Good. Again, the alternative is right at this stage here. If you subtract a third from 5, you get 4 and 2/3. Nothing wrong with 4 and 2/3. It's up to you, whichever method you feel best with. You do it your way. Either way is fine with me. Questions on this? Again, I want to show you a couple here where you deal with those fractions because the book hadn't given you any of those yet. I wanted you to see how to handle them. Questions? Let's do one more together. And let's see here. Let's work down to the front row. Let's go to Maddie. We've got a 4, 6. We've got a 6, 9. We want to find the equation of the line between these points. Walk me through.
You find the slope. And so you do 9 minus 6 over 6 minus 4.
And for clarification, for those watching, that's 9 minus this 6, and then this 6 minus this 4. Okay, lest we be thinking something else. Again, sometimes I've seen students where they try to use the two values from the same point. It's y minus y over x minus x. Good.
And then that equals 3 over 2.
All right.
And then you do y equals 3 plus 3. And you do 6 equals 3 over 2 times 4 over 1 plus 3. And 6 equals 6 plus b.
Good. Cancel. Got a 1 and 2. Multiply to get a 6.
And then both 6's cancel and get a 0.
Ah, so the origin then is going to be my y-intercept. Given this slope, given this y-intercept, what's my equation?
Y
Good. And do we have to say plus 0? We don't have to. So either this answer or just the first part of it there, either of those would be fine. This time, even though it came out to the fraction canceled really nicely, and obviously that's favorite when that happens. At your seats, I want you to try this one now. Given the 2 points, 9, 6, and negative 3, 2, I want you to find the equation of the line between those 2 points. Michael's got it. And check your work. How'd you do? Everybody good to go? All right, turn your textbooks for just a moment to page 167 and do numbers 19 and 21. Page 167, do numbers 19 and 21. And these ones are a little bit nasty. So if you can handle these, you can handle pretty much any of it. Page 167, 19 and 21, finding the equation of the line joining the points. What if you're done already, go on and back doing that. If you're already done, go back and do the evens 20 and 22. I give just another minute for people to finish. So if you're done ahead of time, let's go and do the evens. sake of time, pencils down. Even if you're not finished, stop where you're at. Let's take a look at 19 and 21. For number 19, you have the point 5,6. You have the point negative 2,1. As I look at the change in the y value, 6 minus 1 is 5. 5 minus negative 2 would be 7. There's my slope. We're going to say y. I hate negatives, but I also hate big numbers. So I'm going to go with this one. Let's say y, which is 1, is equal to m, which is 5/7 times x, which is negative 2 over 1 plus b. We can multiply, nothing cancels. We know the 1 equals negative 10/7 plus b. To me, here's a good opportunity to just knock out the fraction. I'm going to multiply everything by a 7. 7 equals negative 10 plus 7b. We'll add the 10 to make this a 17. And we divide away the 7. We end up with a b is equal to 17/7. So it's a rather ugly equation. Y equals 5/7 x plus 17/7, or you might have had 2 and 3/7. How many have that equation on number 19? All right, what did you have?
I had negative 1. I don't know what I did.
That was your whole equation? No, what was your actual equation?
I had y equals 5/7 x and negative 1.
So you got the 5/7, and somehow you got a negative 1 right here. All right. Does it make sense how much you should have done? All right, let's take a look at number 21. We've got a point of 4,3. We have a point of negative 8,7. Again, as I find the slope, I'll say 7 minus 3 is 4. Negative 8 minus or negative 4 is negative 12. So I end up with a negative 1/3 for my slope, which is unfortunate. Those are bigger and there's a negative. Let's leave that alone. Let's say that y equals mx plus b. Again, nothing cancels, so I get the negative 4/3 plus b. I'm going to go and multiply everything by 3 again to get a 9. Cancel the denominator plus 3b. Move the 4 over as a positive, get 13 equals 3b. So my b ends up being a 13/3. So y equals negative 1/3 x plus 13/3. How many have that as your equation on number 21? A few people dropped out this time. Abby, Maddie, Genesis, questions?
4 1/3.
4, oh, sorry, yeah. If you go to 4 1/3, that's the same thing. Yeah, 4 1/3 would be the same thing. Good question. All right, so you did have it? Okay. Maddie, Genesis, questions on this one? I know I went through it fast. Did we get the correct slope, first of all? Negative 1/3? Just didn't finish. Okay, were you on the right track at least? All right. Questions at all? Maddie, so you see you got the, sorry, Maddie, coming back to you. You got the slope. And then what was your y-intercept?
When I divided the 13 by 3, I got a 1 2/3 instead.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. Let's take a look at number 20. How many finished number 20? All right, let's go to Audrey. What did you get?
Y equals 1/2 x minus 5.
Good. Y equals a half x minus 5. How many also got that? Those who made it to 20. All right, anyone try 20 but you didn't get that answer, you need to see it worked. All right, then 22. How many made it that far? 22. Let's go to Michael. What did you get?
Y equals 4/19 x plus 55 over 19.
That thing's just nasty. Y equals 4/19 x plus 55/19, or plus 2 and 17/19, I think, maybe. Hopefully you did 55/19. How many got that answer for 22? Did anyone try 22 but you did not get that answer? You need to see it worked. Any questions on this? All right, you can set your books aside for just a moment. Let's go ahead and take a look at a little bit of different type of problem we're going to be looking at in our next lesson. So when we come back Tuesday after the 3-day weekend, we'll be looking at some problems like this. So I want to kind of give you a preview here of the types of problems we'll see. You might be asked sometime to write the equation of a line that is parallel to another line. In this case, we'll go with 2x plus y equals 1, and it goes through the point negative 1, 1. Again, I keep referencing my geometry students. Algebra 2 is intended to kind of preview some things. In your case, it's reviewing some things. But if I have a particular point, and there is some random line through that point, although there are an infinite number of lines that may be drawn, only one line can be parallel to this one through that point. The question is, what is the equation of that parallel line through that point if this is the given line's equation? Well, anytime you see parallel in algebra class, what should we be thinking? 2 words?
Same slope.
Same slope. That's what you should think. So as soon as you see parallel, I know same slope. And if it's parallel to this, it's going to be the same slope as that. Next question. What is the slope of that? Well, let's put that into slope-intercept form. What would it look like if I rearranged it to slope-intercept form, Brandon?
Y equals negative 2x plus 1.
Right, y equals negative 2x plus 1. So if this is the given equation, then what is the equation of the line, or what is the slope of the line, rather, that is parallel to it? Anyone?
Negative 2.
Negative 2. This line has a slope of negative 2, so my parallel has a slope of negative 2. So far, so good? And my parallel goes through this point. You see, we're really just doing the same thing we just did, right? Given a slope, given a point, find the equation of the line. But it's given to you more subtly because you have to first find the slope of a given line. And just make it the same at your seats. Find the equation of the line parallel to 2x plus y equals 1 that goes through negative 1, 1. Maddie's got it, Abby's got it, Brandon's got it, Michael's got it. Wait a second, the girls beat the guys. What is this?
We had to boost our confidence.
So you wouldn't want them to give up or anything.
Yeah.
Hey, beat us all the time. Let them win every now and then just to keep it exciting. Yeah, okay. All right, so obviously we're going to start with y equals mx plus b. In for the y class, we have to plug in 1. We don't get a choice this time because there's only 1 point. For the m, we got to plug in the negative 2, which is the same slope as the given line. And for the x, we need to plug in the negative 1, and of course plus b. Of course, negative 1 times negative 2, positive 2, but a positive 2 comes over as a, to get what b value, class? All right, so this is their line. What's the equation of my parallel line? Very similar. My y-intercept is 2 units below theirs is all. How many had this as the equation of the parallel? Any questions? What if, though, because again, you picture this, we've got some point, we've got some line. I can only draw one parallel through that point. Another thing you'll talk about in geometry is that from a point, you can only draw one perpendicular to a line through that point. So what if instead of this saying parallel, what if it said, write the equation of a line perpendicular to whatever that equation was through whatever that point was? Well, when I see perpendicular, class, I always think 3 words. What are they? That was a little weaker than last time. Negative reciprocal slope. Oh, I shouldn't have erased that. So if my given line is y equals negative 2x plus 1, which means my given line, class, has a slope of negative 2, my line has to have a slope of positive 1/2. But given a slope, given a point, there's only one equation we can have. At your seats, find it. Once again, you're going to plug in the 1 for your y value, the negative 1 is your x value. My slope this time we said is positive 1/2, and of course the plus b. Negative 1 times 1/2, of course, class. But when you move the negative 1/2 over, it becomes a positive 1/2. And here's a time where I'm not going with the other. I'm just going to go easy. What's 1 plus 1/2? 1.5. If you said 3 halves or 1.5, that's fine. I was going to go 1.5. So there's my b, there's my m. What's the equation of my perpendicular, class? There we go. So if this is my given line, through this point, negative 1, 1, there's the equation of my parallel, there's the equation of my perpendicular. And this is the sort of thing we're going to work on a little bit more on Tuesday after the 3-day weekend. Questions on this type of problem? Another type of thing we're going to work on after the break that I want to show you is, let's suppose we have a random point. We'll name it K, and it's the point -6, 7. Suppose we have another point. We'll call it M, and we'll give it the coordinates 2, 3. We can find, as we've said before, the length. We can also find the midpoint. We can find the slope, and now we can find the equation. We're going to practice finding all 4 things. Take a moment. See if you can get all 4 before the bell rings. We have just a couple minutes. Find the length, find the midpoint, find the slope, and the equation of Km. See if we can solve the mystery that is Km. Find the length, midpoint, slope, and finally the equation if you have time. Several people already finished. Keep working if you're not, that's fine. Once you finish, check your answers though. Give me a thumbs up if you got them all. Good. Yeah. Excellent. Good. Kendall got them. Audrey, which one did you miss? Can't see. Okay. Got them all? All right, stop where you're at. Even if you don't have all 4 answers yet, check your answers of the ones you did. Did we get all our answers correct for length, midpoint, slope, and equation? Are there any questions on this? I love problems like this, where we'll find everything we can about a line segment. When we come back for the weekend, no homework. We'll give you a break from the homework for the weekend. Have a wonderful weekend, and you are dismissed.